Did you know that as prices of everything goes up, it also increases criminal activities that is happening online? If we look at the FTC website, there are the Federal Trade Commission. So they are the body organization that pretty much try to monitor and set rules and regulations when it comes to anything that has to do with the consumer. With the costs of groceries, housing, and many other things rising, you might be looking for ways to cut costs, which many of us are doing. You aren't alone. Across the country, people are worried about high prices impacting their budgets, and scammers are taking notice. Scammers may zero in on your anxiety over money in several ways. They might say they're from the government and giving away grant money for home repairs or unpaid bills, or they have an investment that's guaranteed to deliver quick, high returns. The reason I'm speaking about this because recently I've came across people who are dealing with this situation, and it's something that holds dear to my heart. And I had the kind of confirmation to work on this because my wife and I, we watched this movie over the weekend, which covers some basis in regards to that. According to the FTC, top frauds: 1, imposters, someone posing as somebody else; 2, online shopping. Most of us are doing that right now on our phones. 3, prices, sweepstakes, and lotteries. If you're one of those that's trying to get an overnight win or things like that, you might fall for this. Investments. If you're active like me inside of the investment game or want to get into it and you don't have the experience, sometimes you may fall into this trap as well. And lastly, business and job opportunities. Many of us fall into this as, 1, if you're either building your own business, or 2, if you're looking for an opportunity right now. As we know, especially in the tech sector, a lot of people got laid off last year. Now, I do have to admit, a lot of my tech folks are a bit more savvy, more intelligent when it comes to actually seeing if something is a scam or not. But unfortunately, that's not the case for everybody. So therefore, we have to take notes and be very cautious inside of the decisions that many of us make. In 2022, 2.4 million fraud were reported. Insane. $8.8 billion lost. That is crazy. Like, how could you let fraud reach that capacity? Losses to investment scams more than doubled. It's crazy. In 2021, $1.8 billion were lost, right? And in 2022, $3.8 billion were lost. I could put credit to that because some of the printing of money that's happened, there was more money circulated inside of the economy. And who really got a lot of that money and were spending it like crazy? Unfortunately, the majority of us that are more consumers, which demographically speaking, right, my Black, Hispanic folks, minorities, we are more likely the ones that were spending around the time. And the other people that were more strategic and actually investing, they really capitalized on the opportunities that were presented during those times. Losses to business imposters soared, right? Look at in 2020, 196 million, 2021, 453 million, and in 2022, 660 million. These numbers are only going to increase as the prices of everything just keeps going up. Now, I want to take a look at another data. That's the AARP. We can't forget about the AARP because they're the ones that give you that card as soon as you turn over 50. Right in the mail, right? Welcome to the club. Here, 19 and under, median fraud loss was around $300. Looking at the middle, as we see, the older we get in age range, it's only increasing. If you are between the age of 40 and 49, $600. But look at the difference the minute that you get 80 and over. And it's so sad to see that. $1,674. This is insane. These people are preying on people who are older, not as technologically savvy. They're from a different generation where a lot of these techs that we have today did not exist. They're more likely to fall into the traps that computers getting hacked and things like that. From a business model, it makes sense, right? Whoever you can actually gain the most from is who you're going to try to attack. But the ethics is not right at all. It's very sad to see that's who they're actually preying on. Those are people that have worked really hard throughout their entire lives to get to where they need to be. It's not like they can go back to work and try to do things. Their minds are starting to go backwards now. Even though they're getting older, but they're actually reversing in age from a physical standpoint. It's like their minds are getting younger. They're not as strong as they used to be, but they don't have the advantage like younger folk to just be able to go out and get things back to normal if they lost everything. Another study I'm going to cover is from the National Library of Medicine. For example, rates of financial exploitation were found to be higher for older Black adults in a telephone survey of over 4,000 in New York, and in another study of over 900 adults in Pennsylvania. It is sad to see, but it's the reality of things. That's what I personally have seen and experienced. Most of the people that are reporting scams that are happening are usually the black folk. How can you protect yourself? If you hear about any group, someone is inviting you to join in investment groups, whether it's for real estate, crypto, forex, or anything of these kinds, avoid them as much as you can. The reason is the FTC has a lot of regulations, working with the SEC as well. The SEC is another regulatory body inside of the government. So therefore, they keep track of a lot of things. Whenever a company is to be perceived as an investment company, you should be able to publicly see exactly how they're set up, because they are regulated by the SEC. And if the person cannot provide you all that, they're a fraud. Public companies that are in the stock market, easy, right? Those are automatically SEC approved. There's no need for you to be worried about actually investing in stocks, mutual funds that are actually, you can see inside of the brokerage. Sometimes you will find stocks or even mutual fund index funds that are considered OTC. They call them, just like your medicines, over-the-counter securities. So those funds, they're still regulated by the SEC, but they come with a little bit of more risk. You got to do more of research. But for them to even be listed inside of a lot of these exchanges and brokerage firms, they actually had to go through some process with the SEC to even be listed. So therefore, you still have some form of protection there. But I always say, do your research in everything that you're investing. Avoid groups. Don't do that. If anybody's promising you money next week, in 2 weeks, overnight, we're going to double it, triple it, run away from that as well. That is a scam. Not saying that sometimes stocks and funds, they don't double in a matter of certain events that can trigger that. It could happen. But if someone is trying to guarantee you that, that is a lie. There's no way you can guarantee investment returns in a particular time period. You can make some hypothetical assumptions, yes, but you cannot guarantee that return. I want us to be strong-minded when it comes to our investment decisions, the things that we are allowing people. Do not let people take advantage of the things that you actually work hard for so many years. Preserve it as much as you can. It really breaks my heart to see older folks, other people being taken advantage of for things that they've worked really hard for to be able to attain, and it just evaporates in a matter of seconds, minutes, a couple of weeks, based on a decision they allowed somebody to just take over their financials in those situations. One of the instances I'm going to share with you is from the Bible, and this is taken from Luke. So bear with me right here. So Jesus told his disciples, there was a rich man whose manager was accused of wasting his possessions. So he called him and asked him, what is this I hear about you? Give an account of your management, because you cannot be manager any longer. Right? He was in the risk right now of getting fired. The manager said to himself, what shall I do now? My master is taking away my job. I am not strong enough to dig, and I'm ashamed to beg. I know what I'll do so that when I lose my job here, people will welcome me into their houses. So he called in each one of his master's debtors. He asked the first, how much do you owe my master? 900 gallons of olive oil, he replied. The manager told him, take your bill, sit down quickly, and make it 450. Scam, fraud, right there, we're seeing. Then he asked the second, how much do you owe? 1,000 bushels of wheat, he replied. He told him, take your bill and make it 800. Another scam and fraud. The master commended the dishonest manager because he had acted shrewdly. For the people of this world are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. Look at the distinction that it's making. For the people of this world that we're seeing are more shrewd in dealing with their own kind than are the people of the light. The people of the light are people who are more conscious of the Christ-like behaviors, is what it's referring to. I tell you, use worldly wealth to gain friends for yourselves, so that when it is gone, you will be welcomed into eternal dwellings. Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much. And whoever is dishonest with very little will also be dishonest with much. If you plant some bad seeds, it's only going to grow further and further. If someone gave you an opportunity and you did what you were supposed to do, then you'll be ready for more responsibilities and be able to take more advantage. This is how managers get promoted and then get shifted more upward because they were able to excel at their current level, really appreciated what they were given, the opportunity, capitalized on it in a very honest manner. Therefore, when they are at a higher level, they're going to repeat the same thing. So if you have not been trustworthy in handling worldly wealth, who will trust you with true riches? It's not talking about the riches of the world. It's talking about the riches that are inside of heaven, that God really has promised us, because it is way bigger than anything that we can get from this world. Everything on this world will pass away one day. It all has an expiration date, but the things in heaven does not. And if you have not been trustworthy with someone else's property, who will give you property of your own? This applies not just with real estate, but actually possessions. If you lend someone something of value to you that you've cherished so much, and you see that they took care of it and they gave it back to you with no issues, then of course you'll lend them back more. Again, that's just principles of how we are as humans. No one can serve two masters. Either you will hate the one and love the other, or you'll be devoted to the one and despise the other. You cannot serve both God and money. I'm sure you came across this verse, but now you understand the context of where this all came from. Be responsible. For those of us who are scamming out there, you need to stop. Be more responsible in terms of decisions that you can make. There are other ways and opportunities for you to earn honest income and be able to build wealth. We've seen many investment opportunities that exist now that weren't available to us before. Therefore, robbing, stealing, cheating, and all this stuff is not the most practical way to do things, because that cannot scale. Mentally, it messes with you, it drains you, and it causes destruction inside of your spiritual self, which eventually you will be in completely destructions mentally, spiritually, which will lead to a physical destruction as well. You risk getting in trouble. You got families that care about you, and really and truly, there's no reason for you to do things this way with so many opportunities that are available to you. Sometimes the shortcut is not the answers. And for those of us who are not the ones that are doing the scam, but that are more of the victims, don't believe in hype of the shortcuts and try to gain to your next million in a day, 2 days, 2 weeks. It's not realistic. You got to slowly get there. Build up, get experience. At the $1,000 mark, $5,000 and $10,000, then you'll learn to manage $100,000 and grow your wealth in a way that happens over time. Patience is the key to this thing, because as you learn, you make mistakes. It's better if you make mistakes when you don't have as much, and then grow into those opportunities. Because I can tell you right now, when I started investing, I started with 500, then 1,000, then 5, then 10. The losses that I experienced at 500, first time I had it, I was like, oh man, this kind of sucks. But once I learned to understand how that world works, I moved to 5. Then once I was losing at 10 and kept my control in terms of, you know what, I'm not selling these stocks right now because I'm going to wait for the long term. I was able to control that and think more with my mind and calculating things rather than my emotions. Because if I jump straight to the 50,000, 100,000 mark right away, there's no way, absolute way. I would have seen I drop down 15 grand. I would have panicked, sell everything. That's where you incur the loss and didn't see everything through for the long run. I really hope you found all of this insightful. If you have been scammed out there, definitely please pray for guidance. I would say seek the Lord Jesus Christ, because your mind will just open up to be able to discern when people are feeding you good stuff and when they're feeding you crap that you do not want to take, because that crap will be very destructive to your life. For those of us who are in that world of scamming and you happen to stumble across this video, please stop your lying, cheating, and stealing. There is a better way. Seek the Lord Jesus Christ, because He will provide you the wisdom for you to actually build success and wealth in a way that is meaningful, purposeful, and that is honest. You will not regret it, and it is so much more fulfilling and rewarding when you do things that way. So peace and love. Trust in Jesus. Have an amazing one. Thank you so much for checking out my video. My goal is to be able to share as much knowledge, wisdom, experience that I've been given, privilege from God over the years, to be able to give that to you, and also be able to receive from you as well. This can definitely be a two-way dialogue. It doesn't have to be one way at all. It's just for us to be engaged. And I'm just continuously sharing as things that I see move along the market. So I hope you find insights, and your feedback is greatly appreciated as well. How can you support me? Right now, I have these wristbands. You can get them at luxury.com. I've been selling them on eBay for quite some time. it just says make your statement. It's just a encouraging, inspirational message. You can purchase these right now, available on there. Eventually it will be spun off to other things and I'll have other products, but that's one way you can do right now. But most importantly is just making sure you receive something from the content I've given. And if you have any feedback, that is probably the most valuable thing I could say you can give to me. So I appreciate it, and I hope that we can continue to build a long-term relationship with each other and just grow with one another. Peace. And if you have any questions, definitely drop it below.